Hi, Phil Winder here again. In this video, I'm going to show you a full end-to-end flow from initial sign up all the way through to creating a pull request with some AI generated code from Helix. We're going to look at Helix projects, Helix repositories. We're going to create some spec tasks to create some work. And we're going to implement that work, and we're going to do, just show you a little bit of some of the desktop tools that we provide as well. And the end result will be a couple of commits in a Git repository. Okay, enjoy. Okay, if you don't have an account, this will be the first screen that you see. I'm going to use the Google login, and I'm going to log in with my Helix account. Just needs our name and email address, and then this will be submitted for submission to the waitlist. A couple of hours later, we will notice that request and get in touch with you and then approve it. Once you're approved, then you can come back to here and you'll be forwarded to an onboarding screen. We're going to set up a new organization for myself. You might get a link to a previous organization if one of your colleagues has already subscribed. And then we're going to activate a business subscription. You'll need to come back and wait for that to complete. Next, we're going to add an AI provider. We're just going to use the built-in Helix providers since we're on the SaaS for now. If this is on your own hardware, then you can configure your own providers. Then we're going to create our first project. And we're also, at this point, you don't have to do this, but we're also going to connect to a repository. The first time, the simplest way to do this is to follow the OAuth flow to give Helix access to your GitHub account. If you do that, then it will set up all the right permissions and allow you to add your repositories. I'm just doing that with a random repository here. Couple more settings to look at. We've got some default agents, but you might want to configure your agent. Some default models, you might want to configure that. But when you're ready, you can just click create your first project. And then finally, we have tasks, spec tasks. They live inside a project. And this is just a helper to add your first task. And when we go to the workspace, you'll see that your project has been set up with a card. I'm quickly just going to go back and actually connect a few more repositories here. Just for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to add another sort of dummy Acme repository and another one as well. You can do that by clicking on the repositories tab within projects. The connect and browse button at the top right there is the one you want to connect. So we've added all of those three now. If you can browse to any of those repositories, but what you'll need to do if you're using Code Intelligence is wait for that repository to index. And that's what this little status is telling us at the top. I'm just going to wait a few more moments, and there we go. Depending on the size of your repo and activity within the system, that might take a different amount of time. Once your code has been indexed, then you can browse to the wiki and view the automated wiki, or you can browse to the search. The search tab is kind of like a MCP-like interface. This is what the MCP server is exposing to the agents that live within Helix. So this is just like an interface to kind of see what it can see. Just doing a few more queries here showing the different things. Semantic search is like when you are asking a question or trying to type a phrase about what you want to do. Keyword search is useful for when you're searching for specific classes or things like that. grep and list files are useful for sort of file related operations. And then we also have a read file tool that allows us to read a file. Well, I mean, it allows the agent to read a file. This is just exposing that functionality there. These will get updated as we add more features, and we may have new tabs in the future as well. All right, we're just showing you that you can use a glob to list files here. This is exactly what the agent can do. And then changelog. So this is something we've just introduced. It'll be improved over time, but basically it's an automated changelog for each commit. All right, so let's go back to projects, and I'm going to set up a new project now because I want to include some more repositories and things like that. So we've got the right repository that we're interested in there. We've got, we're going to add a few more repositories directly here. This is just so the agent can actually access these inside the project. And we're going to create a new spec task. This is just a dummy spec task to get us started. Okay, so we created a spec task and started planning, and then you can click on the card to see the desktop. You can see the live working of the agent inside. It's working on the generation of the initial spec task. And I'm now going to add a second spec task. So this is another task independent of the other one. Click Start Planning, and that will also start planning. Right, so that's sort of the basic Kanban usage for now. There's quite a lot of configurability within this interface, so I do recommend that you sort of experiment. But one of the really cool things is split screen mode. What you can do is you can add multiple tasks, spec tasks at the same time, and view multiple desktops at the same time from the different tasks. There's a lot of flexibility in the interface here. You can maximize, minimize, and get rid of panels, add panels, things like that. But at the moment, we've got these two spec tasks that are running in parallel, and you can actually see the agent working on the planning task at the moment. So I'm just going to try and follow along in Z. Z has this little like target icon, which allows you to follow along what the agent is doing, what it's actually writing, and that's quite useful to see. Yeah, just to see. All right, so the right-hand task has now finished its initial planning, and it has pushed some specifications to a special Helix branch that has been created in your repository. Now the left-hand task has also completed, and so typically what you would do now is go through those specs and review them and change them, and generally just double check they're okay. Right, so let's just reset that view by coming out, and I just want to look at one individual spec all by itself. I want to focus on this now. I approved one of them because, notionally it was okay. And if you imagine that you've got a change that you want to make, what you can do is drag your cursor over the text that you're not happy with. So, for example, I'm going to say that the API structure is too complicated. Again, silly example, but I'm going to submit that feedback back to the agent. And what that'll do is it'll tell the agent we're sort of rejecting this plan, and it will go through another agentic loop, and another agentic planning loop again. So we're just going to let it do that. All right, that spec task is complete now, and we have a plan. All right, that alteration has been completed. We've come back with a new specification, and we're just going to pretend like it's all right. You can see that the API is a lot simpler now. So just going to go ahead and approve that. And now both of these tasks are working on the implementation phase. So again, you can click out and view the desktop and follow along if you so wish, or you can try and context switch and go back and start adding some more tasks, do some more planning and things like that. So we're just going to let that complete now. That'll take it'll take as long as it takes. It depends on the task, and it depends on the model as well, of course. So in the style of SpongeBob SquarePants, sometime later, then we have tasks that are actually complete. That UI didn't quite update there, but the task is actually finished now. So you'll see the little green button everywhere that says Open PR. So we're going to hit that on both of our tasks. Eventually, go on, hit it. Okay, there we go. And that will open up a pull request in GitHub. So let's go and have a look at those by clicking that View Pull Request button. And you can see the familiar screen in GitHub showing us our pull request. So at this point, you need to decide what you want to do. Do you want to do a bit more QA? Do you want to test it on a different system? Do you need a review? What's your process for that? Yeah, you know, we basically ready to go at this point in time. Okay, so once you're happy, merge it in. Boom, there's one. Come on, GitHub, you can do it. Oh no, look, we've got merge conflicts. That's fine, no problem at all. We can go back to our agent and tell it to fix those merge conflicts. Just like that. Some more time later, that will be complete. Okay, that has now rebased and pushed back to our PR, so we can follow our usual process, waiting for CI, whatever it may be, and merge it in. Kaboom. All right, just as a quick sanity check, let's take a look at the commits, and you'll see we've got some extra commits from the last two merge requests there. Okay, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a full end-to-end flow of Helix from start to finish. If you've got any more questions or you think there's anything missing, then please do reach out to us. My name's Phil Winder. Have a good day. Bye.